Hey, I'm Lisa Singer, and this is Brand Insider BTS, where I get to pull back the curtain on some of the most influential brand marketers today. And with me is Jinal Shah. She is the Chief Customer and Marketing Officer at Zip. Hey, Jinal, hi.
Hi, good afternoon. So great to be here.
Well, it's so great to have you here. I'm so happy that we were able to. We first talked, I think, like back during COVID, I think we were doing for you were with Feather and we were doing something. And since then, I've been trying to get you here. And so I'm so happy that we were finally able to coordinate our schedules and make it happen.
Well, I'm very appreciative that we reconnected and here we are.
Yeah, no, I am too. And it's such an impressive list in terms of the awards you've received. You were recognized at Ad Age's Leading Woman of the Year as one of them. Also for Chief's New Era of Leadership Awards. That's for 100 exceptional leaders shaping the future. And then earlier this year, you were recognized as one of Forbes's 50 entrepreneurial CMOs. First of all, congratulations. All of that is so amazing. And I know that you're not in it for the awards, but it just must make you feel good to have that recognition.
Of course it does. It's a validation of the work my team and I have been at for the last 4 years. Um, and yes, and this is a team win, although it's my name on it, I'm nothing without my team and the rest of Zip as well. So yes, the recognition is it's meaningful.
Yeah, and it shows a good leader where you are totally including your team with you. And that right there is probably a very good reason why you're receiving all of these recognitions. And well, so I did mention Forbes CMO and they have a criteria, and I want to get this correct. So it's the entrepreneurial CMO, and that is someone who understands both what has enduring value and what needs to change. So what I want to ask you, I want to turn it on you and ask you, was there a significant time in your life personally when you realized something needed to change?
I think that I can't recall like a specific moment, but I do think that's a question I reflect on very often, every 6 months, honestly. Um, I have a young daughter and she's changing every few months, and what she needs from me as a mother mean like I have to constantly evaluate how I need to show up for her. And that's true also at work. We've been at Zip in a hyper growth trajectory, and when you're in an environment that's growing 40% year over year, you cannot stand still as a leader and rest on who you were yesterday, that got the company, where it was. So even as a leader, um, where I'm focusing, what I'm learning, what my, agility, where it needs to shine, all of that needs to constantly change. I do think it's a continuous process of reflection and personal change management.
Yeah, no, for sure. And well, all right. So, are there things then that, again, part of the description is also you need to know what has enduring value. Are there things when you do look back, and again, more personally in terms of maybe how you are a leader or how you are with your daughter, although is there that constant that you feel needs to be there?
Yes, yes. I think in terms of, for me, there's two things that have always held enduring value and will continue to hold enduring value. I think number one is relationships. I think this is a true legacy for any of us. It's beyond roles and career charts and org design. It's true, how we show up in our community, in our families, in the professional world as a friend. To me, that is that is of the utmost importance. It's who you can share a laugh with and who you can lean on. And I think, it's also like I look back to like who has made me feel seen and how have I helped someone feel seen, right? To me, that is what matters. The other piece that has held enduring value and will continue to is investment in myself. Why
Mhm.
should anyone bet on you if you're not going to bet on yourself? I have spent considerable time, money, and anything else that can be spent and an energy on myself to learn, to grow, to make myself better, to feed my curiosity without seeking anything in return. I do that because I'm driven by a constant need to be better. I want to be a better friend, a better wife, a better leader, and most certainly a better mother. Um, I think, except for like a sense of tangible growth in how I think, which is actually very palpable. I am a very prolific journaler. I journal very prolifically, and I think that's an incredible way to integrate like what you're feeling, thinking, learning, and how you're growing. So I think for me, those two things, relationships and investment in yourself, have enduring value.
And I love that you say that. I mean, because I do think you kind of forget those things. You get so busy with working and you have to get this done. And more it's about investing in yourself, but maybe for, okay, to get that next position or to get whatever that may be. And so you're so focused on that as opposed to just more overall bettering
You
yourself.
know, yeah, and I think that is a I I've seen this tendency maybe more among women, which is, oh, if I just stay the path, if I just stay the course, someone will notice me. There's no knight in shining armor. There's no, as my boss says, there's no cavalry coming. Like, it is up to me to take care of myself, and it is up to me to invest in myself. It is no one else's responsibility. So, I mean, I'm lucky, and it's a bonus if you end up having a mentor, a manager, a sponsor, who, again, I've been very fortunate to have those. But at the end of the day, I am my own responsibility.
Is there something more like specifically that recently you invested in that you said, okay, this is what I need to do just for, for you, for to make you better?
Well, yeah, I did actually. I For my birthday earlier this year, I decided I want to learn how to sketch. It's something I've always admired in others who could do it. It's something that I've always wanted to learn. And, I'm in the stages of helping my daughter learn new things. She's learning how to read, and it's nice to feel that sense of, oh my God, this is so hard, I want to give up. And then, be in the same boat as my almost 4-year old. But it's like, no, we just keep trying, we just stay at it. So, to me, that's just a really small example. But, therapy is, another example of continuous investment in self. But yeah, I think that's just like in the, it's a microscopic thing, but investment in communities and time. And um, I did a board preparation, sort of, a year-long, learning journey that I paid for myself. So I think it's a variety of things, but the idea is to constantly like stay at it.
Yeah, I agree. And you never know what it exposes you to. As you said, it's not necessarily a means to an end.
Yeah.
There are those times as well when you need to get, say your MBA to do a particular thing or whatever that may be. But sometimes it's just offering, whether it's value, you connecting with your 4-year-old daughter with it, or what.
Yeah, or I'll tell you with the sketching thing, right? It's actually helped me build so much more empathy for the recent college grads on my team. Like, they don't come with, like, they're still like learning how to work. And you forget how intimidating and how hard something completely new can be, especially our profession, our discipline, marketing. So again, for me, it's, is it changing how I think and evolving that? And if it is, then that is absolutely what investing in myself should be doing for me.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. To be honest, I haven't thought of it in those terms. And, I always think it's more, oh, well, I want to do, whatever. Pickleball was one more recently. And it's just like, okay, when do I have time? And it's just about me. But it's not. There's more to it that comes out of that. And I think it can really, and not only be fun, whatever it may be, but
Yeah,
something where it just can add to your life and maybe make you, as you said, now you're more empathetic with your younger employees.
100%.
Speaking of younger employees, when you were a younger, not employee, say, when you were first starting out, because I think you had a journalism degree.
That's right.
So And then you went on, you worked at J. Walter Thomas, you worked at different brands, you crossed over to different brands, a variety until now here you are at Zip. So, but when you were graduating, journalism degree, not marketing, although the two I know with in terms of skill sets cross over a lot, but what were you envisioning for yourself?
Uh, I, you know, I thought about this question a lot, and I don't know if it's mom brain. I genuinely cannot remember what I was envisioning for myself because I think that, um, for me, I studied journalism. I studied to be a journalist because I had a fairly good idea that I was a competent writer and a communicator. I think that for me, the golden thread has just been that I've followed my curiosity. This actually goes back to even the way I stumbled upon like writing as an area where it's like, oh, I'm actually okay at this. I was in school and I ended up becoming a published author at the age of 15 in India. And
Oh,
it sort of was just because I stayed at it. And, I responded to a notice board message in school and I raised my hand. And, for 3 years, I kept sort of submitting stories and being rejected, but sort of just stayed at it and followed my curiosity. And that's been the golden thread. Um, just follow the breadcrumbs, follow, where my curiosity leads. And then more importantly, kind of stay at it, like stick to it.
right.
So for me, the first decade really was, I think I started my work knowing I was a good communicator, but that first decade, specifically my years at J. Walter Thompson, made me a storyteller from being just a communicator. And then so that decade, my craft is what sort of I built. So, um, the nuances, understanding what is good, but understanding what makes the good great. Like it's all of those things. And then my next decade, where I left the agency side and worked primarily with founders, that is where I became a leader from being just a storyteller. And that journey obviously continues. So I think that if I look back as an immigrant, I think I probably only just wanted, it was a pretty big sacrifice for my parents coming here. So I was very driven by the idea of making them proud. And the funny thing is, my dad had mentioned to me when I was 18 that, study and be whoever you want, as long as you're going to be the best at it. So that's very liberating, at least for an Indian-born immigrant, where I was not saddled with be an engineer, a doctor, one of the STEM professions. Um, I think over time, though, what started as a desire to make my parents proud, I think also became like just living a life of significance. And significance is different to each of us. But that is sort of what I think I always wanted. And now I have the words to communicate it.
And that's what you kept following. And but you as you said, you did have that creative storytelling desire, whether or not you maybe honed those skills, it took, that those 10 years. But and as you say, you're a constant journalist, or prolific.
So
So
true.
hey, I said it correctly. I was like trying to avoid saying it because I'm like, I'm gonna mess it up too.
Oh my gosh, I feel seen. There's so many English words that I always mess up in my pronunciation. So,
Oh, this is funny that I mess up in my enunciation, and I'm born English speaker. So, and I wish I spoke other languages. That is one thing that I envy when people do. And again, this is something me saying it now makes me say, well, if I were you, I would be now taking some sort of course on learning how to speak whatever language. So I'm actually motivated. I am going to do
I
some.
will say, you know what, one thing I will say, which I've always heard this, but I think I only understood the meaning of it much later. Let perfect not be the enemy of good. In certain pursuits, good enough is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and I think for most of us, perfection is probably what gets in the way.
Definitely for me. And that's my, it freezes you. It's just, and I know that it's not, even though you know it, they say, well, you're aware of it. Yeah, I've been aware of it for years. I've been aware that I do this, but it's still a constant challenge trying to get through that. But enough about me. So, I do have to say, and we were speaking of your parents, and on LinkedIn, you also wrote that when you were named one of Forbes 50 entrepreneurial CMOs, that it was a surreal feeling for you. And you wrote, let's see, I wanted to say it correctly. It is a joyful and yet overwhelming moment. And you said this win is also for my parents. And of course, now this is the part I want you to explain. You say that you said, which this I understand. They asked me why I didn't have a better picture. Of course, all our parents will do that. But you said there's some sort of immigrant slash seeking approval slash making them proud story in here that I am too overwhelmed to process. Okay, so we're months later. How can you explain it?
Yes, I can. Well, uh, you know, i- Forbes is, they know Forbes. They understand its significance, it's international. So that I think it's like, oh wow, like this is she's doing something that is worthy of being recognized by Forbes. I think there was a bit of like joy in that. It's like, yes, they'll know this, they'll understand what this is. Because I think that they are incredible, but that is obviously like I am a anomaly in our extended family. It is a family of entrepreneurs and business owners and doctors, and
Of course.
that is sort of what the understood vocabulary of success has been in those ecosystems. So yeah, that was that was special that they knew, and it's like, they shared it with their friends, which was also like really nice for them. It's like now they can explain what their daughter does in the US to their friends. But I think for me, the other part of overwhelm was also, I grew up in this industry. I was on the agency side, as you know, for many years, and um, you know, so many of the clients I served and admired were CMOs and marketing leaders. So it was meaningful to be recognized as one of them. And also Seth, I give him a lot of credit. There's many of these lists, but Seth Matlins of Forbes has done such an amazing job of building a warm and generous community. And he does a lot personally to nurture this community. Most importantly, he holds us all accountable. Um, and so I think that what I gain and what I've continued to gain from my peers, and especially now as I'm more embedded in this community, it makes me better, and it makes me feel seen, and also like not alone. And what I mean by that is I have an amazing group of peers, don't get me wrong, but we are all just one of one, right? There's only one CMO in every org, one CFO. And as a disciplined leader, it is really, really, it's a solace to have a community where your specific struggles and challenges are not unique to you, while they may be unique to you in your group of peers at your company.
Right. No, that makes sense. And I understand also what you were saying with your parents getting it in the sense I think in the creative field, whether it's you're talking advertising or for me years I was in TV, they don't get what you do. Like they know you're something, but they don't, like for my parents, the highlight was seeing my name in credits. Like it had nothing to do. What did you think of the piece? Oh, yeah.
Yes,
It's so it's like you're giving them people know sort of what a doctor does, what a lawyer does, and,
100%,
and
100%.
but when it comes to what we do, there's so many like what is we can't even just define what is a producer. Who knows? Like it can vary depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, and my career choices, I haven't picked like companies that, or it goes both ways. Like well-known international companies haven't picked me, but neither have I picked them. Like that's not what's evoked my curiosity. So I think for my parents, this was a cultural like currency that they could understand, right? Like, so yeah, but I exactly, this was their version of seeing my name on the credits.
Yeah. Yes, completely. Well, I have to ask you, so what do people get wrong about you when they first meet you? And then maybe later they're like, oh, you're not like that.
Well, I don't know. You tell me. This is our first meeting. What do you?
I would say it's just in you, because when we spoke before for work, for, you talking work as opposed to personally, more serious. So you can, and even the top of when we first started talking, you're a little, there's a guard there, not guarded. I don't want to say it that was completely, but,
Yeah.
and as we started getting into more things that you could get into, you know what I mean? Where you just lost
Yeah.
that. And then I see this fun, light person coming out. So I guess I might have thought maybe a little serious. I have to be more polite to you or more professional to you, like that way. And then now I feel like, no,
Yeah.
I could be like, hey, what's up? Like, so I think
Yeah.
my,
That is very revealing, and I appreciate you sharing that with me and giving me that feedback. I don't, I think that might be right. I do think I'm a very highly functioning introvert, and I definitely am way better one-on-one, and um, my energy is, I derive energy from this versus large groups, and put me in a stadium with 40,000 fans, and it is, you have like 30 minutes of my battery left. I'm no fun in those environments. But I appreciate you saying lighthearted and fun. Those words are not often used with me. And I do like to think I can be that. So thank you for that.
I completely see that. But no, you do come across, it would be, and again, we're talking 2 seconds, and then the other time was on the phone. We weren't even seeing each other, and we were talking about strategy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's for me, because I'm kind of right. Although no, even when I walk in somewhere, if you don't know me, I tend to be more like I watch things. So I might be more.
Yeah.
I get maybe that I'm like standoffish or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
Yeah.
I like to kind of. I don't jump right in initially.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but otherwise, I'm pretty casual the way I speak.
I
Whereas you're a
think
little more proper the way you speak, and so for me, that would be then I interpret it as more serious. So it's just.
I love this conversation so much. I think there is, so much about, like, it's ultimately it's like we are communicating even when we are not communicating, right? Like that's sort of the insight here. It reminds me when I was interviewing for my role at Zip, one of the founders, when he was still involved in the business, Brad Lindenberg, he's asked me the best question I've been asked in my entire career. He asked me, Janelle, 1 year later, if you're in this job, what is something about you that's going to surprise me? And I was surprised with how I answered him. I said, actually, I think what you'll be most surprised is that I am very consistent. Like what you see is what you get.
Okay.
And that was a very, yeah, I was both surprised with his question and surprised with how my answer, what it came out like. But I do think that this could be a whole podcast topic on its own.
It completely can, because I think the way people interpret people, it can be based on their look, their mannerism initially. And some people are shy at first, but then they're not. Like some people are so outgoing and it's almost a
Yeah,
facade because they're actually more introverted. Like so
yeah,
the Robin Williams of the world, who are like, woo, but they're actually extremely shy and very
yeah,
insecure. So there's
yeah.
so many like interpretations. Yes, I do agree. We could we could do a whole
One
show.
last thought on this, and then we'll like obviously move on. But I do think that labels, boxes, adjectives are probably like maybe one of the first connection points, right, between human beings. Like even the fact that I look a certain way, uh, it really helps someone fill in some gaps or make some right or wrong assumptions about me. Same, I'm sure, same with you. But I like to look at the positive side of it, which is at least it's a start of um, a conversation, a relationship, something that then it's like both of us on a journey to like either prove or disprove, like, does it, but it's a really good question. I need to think more. I'm going to ask a few people about this now. Like, hey,
See what
um,
and then let me
what
know. You
comes
can
up?
probably get people to say because I do think, I mean, and I think what's key from what you just said, just to follow up, and then we will really move on. Just be open. Like I can have a certain idea about you or someone else when I
Mm,
first meet you or see you in a room. Like I will hear people talk about someone new, and you just it's especially when we work in an environment where there's a lot of people who know each other, and then they
yeah,
mention. I try to stop. I always try to say, well, you don't know. Like
yeah,
this could be
yeah,
a bad day, or this could be a whatever. And
yeah,
so I feel like. I want to try to remind myself to keep doing those things and to be open to let's find out exactly what this person is like. And I think everyone else should be like that. Like, I'm not sounding like me. I'm just saying everyone else should be open to hearing before making that. You can have that thought. It's going to be in there. Like you can't get rid of it. Everyone has stereotypes that they put in their head. They want to push it out as soon as they feel it or think it, but it
Yeah.
happens. But move beyond that. And that's what makes it important.
Here, here. Well said.
Anyway, that said, let's go into a Zip tagline because I like to try to incorporate that. So, all right, so you had for Zip, Pay How You Want campaign last October. And that was with the WNBA champ Plum, is it
Kelsey Plum.
Plum? Thank you. So, anyway, great campaign, but what I want to ask you, because really what it was showcasing that Zip gives people the opportunity to really seize the most out of life, to give them more opportunities. And so I want to share from you or get you to share to us, what's your most memorable time when you seized an opportunity? And not at work, not, oh, we got this campaign done, something personally and maybe there were reasons you couldn't do it for whatever, maybe it was when you were younger and there were financial reasons, or maybe there were things logistically or family obligations, whatever it may be, but you still were able to seize that opportunity.
Uh, I'll tell you two things. So one opportunity that I want to seize, I haven't yet been able to, is I do want to go back to school to study. I want
Good.
to study the humanities, and especially in our current sort of where the world's headed with AI, and I'm thinking deeply about what it means. I'm sure all of us are, but what it means for our children's future. And um, I do think that I was at a conference last week, and someone on stage like said these words which stuck with me. It's like revenge of the English major. Like this is the era we're in. And I do want to go back to do that. I'm still in that phase of life where the time and financial alignment hasn't sort of aligned. It's funny, like it's like I have a, 509, is that what it's called? Like for my daughter's
Yeah,
education. And then I put aside money for my education as well.
good.
But I'll tell you, career-wise, something that I took a risk on and there was uncertainty with is actually more recent, 18 months or about almost 2 years ago now. I had an opportunity at work to expand my remit and go from being in charge of just marketing and comms to also taking on CX, customer experience. Now, customer experience is a deeply operational discipline. We have teams offshore that we work with. And that was, I'd never run those teams before. And I think for me, that was an one like testament to my company and my managers for seeing that potential in me and giving me that opportunity. And I think that that was, in the spirit of continuing to grow as a leader, build new muscles as a leader. I think that for me was a very a good risk or calculated risk that I've taken on, and that has since added more dimension to my journey as a C-suite leader. Um, and I did it anyway. One, I wanted to. I think that's like I'll say it. I wanted to expand my portfolio. I wanted to learn new skills. I have an amazing peer group that I mentioned, and um, I feel like there's certain ways that they think have only sort of come to them and they've honed them because they've done or managed different teams, and that is sort of how I wanted to grow as well and add more dimension to my leadership. So that's been a very fulfilling. Maybe it's like it's a different kind of education for sure, with a ton of accountability, but that's been a a memorable like time that I've seized an opportunity. And I'm learning so much. Like this is a great example, even though as a company we are just US focused, because my teams are offshore. Like how sort of, the cultural nuances of the countries that the teams are in, how that sort of like plays in and impacts my day-to-day business. Like it's just, even if it just is a good reminder of how interconnected the world is, and how um, building like strong operational excellence as a leader is unbelievably critical for any aspiring C-suiter.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think, like you said, it's scary sometimes to jump into something that you maybe not necessarily have the most experience in.
Yeah,
But as you said, how much you're learning, and I almost think you learn better by doing it through,
100%.
as you're going, as you're doing it. I'm not saying sometimes it's nice to be able to go to school and learn things and whatever, but when you're just thrown right in,
Yeah.
you might sink a little initially, but you just have to keep plowing away. And I think you learn faster and it stays with you more, I believe, I think.
Yes, 100%. That's why I have no interest in like doing an MBA or studying anything business related. I think that is like absolutely where the doing comes in. Yeah, 100% agreed.
Yeah, no, I do too. Okay, so I have actually two more questions.
Yeah.
One, just quick, what are you obsessed with right now? What's your guilty pleasure?
In terms of like
Like,
pop culture or
no, just when you go home, you sneak a pint of Haagen-Dazs or
oh, yeah.
go watch reality shows till, like just that's your way to relax. Whatever it may be. It may be anything, but it's just your kind of like, for me, I'm always like, I love Hallmark movies. So I like, but this is before, like Hallmark's become more popular, but at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time,
yeah.
friends were all watching cool stuff on Netflix. And I'm like, and I'd be sort
Yeah.
of, I'd be like, yeah, but now I'm like, yeah, whatever. I love Hallmark movies. I've been a Hallmark girl forever. Something like that, where it's just,
Yes,
you don't,
yes. Oh boy, I do have guilty pleasures. My guilty pleasure is science fiction,
okay.
and it could be in the form of books, which is what I've always preferred. But right now, I'm also watching the new Alien TV show, which is I find so well done. It actually offers a lot more like backstory and just more story around the franchise. So that's my guilty pleasure for sure. Also, there is a, what's it called? Romantasy. Romance fantasy is another emerging sort of thread in this science fiction fantasy realm. And that is incredibly invigorating. And I also actually love cooking. I find cooking very meditative. I find it extremely relaxing. And I do find it's an important like me time for me to have that
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just something just to do for yourself. And
100%.
you don't get any benefit from it, maybe. I mean, except for enjoyment.
Yes,
But
exactly that.
depending on what it is, maybe you gain a few pounds. That pint of Haagen-Dazs. So, all right, last one is if you had a moment in your career that you could rewind back to, what would that moment be?
In my career, oh
In
gosh.
your life, actually, in your life.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
the
Oh,
on the personal side. So it could be the personal
yes.
side career-wise, or it could be the personal side, just a personal, maybe a
Yeah.
moment in your life. Maybe it was, the birth of your little girl.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly right. I mean, I'm just thinking like there is literally like nothing in my life I would want to relive other than the birth of my child. I was blessed with a beautiful birth, and you know, it just, I I can't even, I'm sure it's true for all of, for every, person who's been through that. I can't capture that moment into words. And just meeting her for the first time. And I had an Indian, a hymn playing in the background. I wanted her, she arrived to that song, and it was just that the atmosphere was so charged, and I knew that I had like angels and looking after me, and I was blessed with the most amazing nurses and doctors, and my husband was in the room. And oh, it's like I remember every single moment in slow motion. Like I would relive that again and again. Maybe not the pain.
Gonna say you maybe
Maybe
between
a double dose.
here to after after you
Maybe,
get the slap.
maybe a double dose of the happy dural, as my doctor called it. But it is the most beautiful moment of my life.
That's so nice. What is your daughter's name?
Her name is Noor,
New,
Noor, Noor. Yeah, it means divine light.
I like that. Oh, awesome. Well, I think that's such a perfect note to end this on. So thank you so much. This is such a pleasure, Janelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. It's my pleasure.
And I'm glad, and I'm so happy you watched us as well. Thank you. And if you, as I always say, if you know a woman who you would like me to turn the curtain back on, who is fabulous, just like Janelle, please just let me know, and I will do my best to get her. So thanks for watching, and thanks again, Janelle.